Welcome to O People of the Book YouTube channel.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
Oh, people of the Book YouTube channel.
نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم هيا قصائد سائلي قلب النوى ليس الشبم هيا قصائد سائلي قلب النوى ليس الشبم
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and I hope everybody's okay. For me, as usual, this is Friday and my weekend started. And as usual, we're going through the Tafsir of Juz Amma, and we've reached Sutul Buruj. Very interesting, because today our teacher will be sitting it out. She'll be taking a break, while inshallah I'll be going through a book which was written by my teacher, Dr. Bilal Phillips. May Allah give him the best of this dunya and akhirah, inshallah. He's written so many books, and this is one of the books that he wrote. And you will notice that when we go through this book, he doesn't only does a tafsir, but you find aqidah in there. You'll find fiqh in there. You'll find comparative religion in there. So when we used to sit down in his classes, we used to pick up so much in one class. Yeah. So I hope you benefit from this, and I'm going to be doing the class today, and I hope that whatever I say, Allah puts blessings in there, and that you benefit from it. So let's start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shahri sadri wa yassiri amri wa halul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Yeah, so you usually get what's her name sometimes. Anyway, so we're going to start Sutul Buruj. I'm feeling now be alone anyway, so I'll manage. Oh, no, we're going to start Sutul Buruj, and like I said, this is the actual commentary written by Dr. Bilal Phillips. Now, the thing is that we're not going to go from the beginning. I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to share the screen with you so you can see the book. So for those of you who don't have it, I'd advise you to buy the book, because it's a very beautiful book. And one second. Yeah, this is the book we're going to go through. Okay. Right. This is the book that we're going to go through. Now, we're not going to go through all from the beginning, because from the beginning he goes through some introductions and stuff like that, he gives about different usul and everything, and that's going to take a lot of time. So I will actually go through just the begin from. I will start from the beginning itself, which is here. One second, we'll go here. Okay, so this is the beginning of the book. Okay, so where it actually starts with with the first verse itself, and like I showed you the cover of the book, it's a very interesting book. So if you get it, yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Was-sama'i dhatil buruj. Now, one thing we must bear in mind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by the creation. A lot of times I've had non-Muslims turn around and say, oh, your God swears by his creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so great, and what happens is that the creation is not just us, the creation is a massive universe, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually swears by I swear by the sky possessing a constellation. Now, like I said to you, Dr. Bilal, when he goes through this now, he gives different examples, and he actually steps out of the tafsir and gives other examples as well. So I hope you actually benefit from this. Yeah, Ibn Kathir said, Allah swears by the heaven and its constellation. The Buruj are giant stars. Okay. Now the thing is that one thing we have to realize here, that there's different interpretation of what the Buruj means. Allah says, "Blessed is he who placed in the sky stars, among them a lamp and a shining moon." Now, one thing about Dr. Bilal's books are the footnotes is just packed with footnotes, alhamdulillah. So it's good if you get the book, because you'll understand it through the footnotes. A lot of the stuff that I've learned from Dr. Bilal Phillips is you will see it in the footnotes how detailed it is. So he goes through the tafsir, and you'll find the footnotes packed with information, alhamdulillah. Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Al-Dakhaq, Al-Hasan, Qatada, and Al-Suddi all said that the Buruj are stars. Ibn Jarir chose the view that it meant 12 positions. You see, there's a difference in interpretation now. 12 positions of the sun and the moon. The sun travels through one Burj each month, and the moon travels through one every two-third days, making a total of 28 positions. It is hidden for 2 nights. Yusuf Ali translate the word buruj as zodiacal signs, while Pictol, we have to be careful with Pictol's translation, because what I understood was he was a Qadiani. Yeah, so we have to when I read about him, I understand that he was actually an Ahmadi. So you've got an Ahmadi translation, translated into the mansion of the stars, but says that in his introduction that to the surah, that is applied to the signs of the zodiac. Okay, we don't believe in zodiacs. We're not supposed to believe in it according to our aqidah. Thus, according to them, Allah is making an oath on zodiacal signs. You see the issue here now with the Pictol and Yusuf Ali. They're saying that Allah is making an oath on the zodiacal signs. Thus, according to them, Allah is making an oath by the zodiacal signs. Some English-speaking Muslims have taken this to be an indirect support for astrology. There's astronomy and astrology. Astrology, we shouldn't be taking that seriously, because it's to do with different ways of understanding the stars and the moons and everything. Astronomy is where you guide the stars guide you when you travel and stuff like that. Anyway, however, Buruj originally meant star configuration, and it was not until later times that it was used to refer to imaginary figures of the zodiac that pagan Babylonian and Greeks superimposed on them. Astrology has been forbidden You see, this is what I'm saying now. These two scholars, they translated it as zodiacal signs, whereas astrology has been forbidden by the Prophet ﷺ in no certain terms. It falls under the general prohibition of visiting fortune tellers. Your sign says this, tomorrow you will wake up, you're a Leo, you're a whatever zodiac sign or whatever. It's like visiting the fortune tellers, yeah? And we have to be very, very careful of that. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever visits a fortune teller and believes in what he says has disbelieved in what was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so we have to understand that now. That, like, these translations that we have to be careful. And also, you get the non-Muslims like to pick specific translations, and they will dwell on that. Whereas we have the different translations, we have different tafsir as well, and we know that, like, sometimes when one tafsir says something, another tafsir may say differently. Ibn Qayyim commented on this verse, saying, "Almighty Allah said, I swear by the sky possessing mansions in which the sun and the moon descend. Buruj is also explained as stars, or one of their forms, or by great mansions, all of which are among the signs of Allah's power and proof, or of His unique unity, wahdaniya. Yeah? For the sky is a globe, round in shape, whose parts resemble each other, whose sides are indistinguishable from each other in length, width, and position. Constellations of various forms and sizes are placed within the globe." So the best translation for this is constellation, yeah? Which could not possibly exist without a designer. There goes the argument for the atheist. Yeah, there has to be a designer. There had to be a designer, and Allah is that designer. And it is impossible that this designer would be incapable, without knowledge or intent, unloving, unwise, and inseparable from what he designed. These would all be among the things which go against the natural laws. Yet that is the claim of the atheist philosophers who do not accept that the world has a Lord. Separate from it, able, acting by choice, aware of its details, wise, arranging and administering it. Thus, the constellations of the sky are the mansions in which they exist, or in which the stars move, making them the greatest of his signs. Consequently, he swore by the constellations in the sky. This is why in the beginning I said to you that, like, Allah is swearing in his creation, but consequently, they are the greatest of his signs. Yeah, we are just a tiny part of the creation. He has greater creations than us. Elsewhere in the Quran, Allah has referred to the greatest enormity of the sky in order to put arrogant human beings in their places. Are you more difficult to create, or is the heavens and the earth or is the heaven that he constructed? You see. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is already telling us in the Quran that the heaven and the earth is greater than us, and He's asking us, are we more difficult to create? Okay, the creation of the heavens and the earth is indeed greater than the creation of humankind, but most humans do not realize it. So when the atheist is thinking, "Oh, he's the greatest creation that Allah has made, that exists, not that Allah has made, but that exists," then obviously Allah is questioning his intellect here. The creation of the heavens and the earth is indeed greater. So when you look at the skies and everything, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually swearing on this. Allah is swearing on this, not because it's like the Christians will pick out, your God swears on on his creation. So that means Jesus is going to be able to put their Jesus in everything. In modern times, the science of astronomy and technical advances in a variety of fields has opened up a new field revealing incredible details of the starry sky. From the use of massive optical telescopes and the satellite telescope Hubble to radio telescopes and knowledge of the constellations, and their content has increased exponentially. So we're talking here of talking here of astronomy and not astrology. You see, so there's difference here between astronomy and astrology. Astronomy is, like it mentioned earlier on, that, like, people use that to see the future, to tell you what's going to happen, and, like, oh, you're going to win this, you're going to win that, you're going to this type of thing. This is astrology. Whereas astronomy now is, like, the study of the skies, the moons, and Allah mentions all of it in the Quran. We'll see the next surah that we'll be doing as well. Seems like there's a corroboration between this. وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ, and then وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ. At-Tariq and Buruj, both of them, creations that are created, which is greater than us, which is more powerful than us. Yeah. So astronomers have been able to observe new objects and phenomena in the sky, such as novas, supernovas, black holes, neutron stars, and expansions of the universe. Allah talks about it in the Quran. Now, one thing is, the Sahaba, their iman was so strong, they didn't have to question it. They didn't have to question that there was something else. What is he talking about? What is the Prophet talking about in the sky? We don't know what's in the sky. Their iman was so strong that they took it. They heard it and they took it, and that's it. Sami'na wa ata'na. I don't know why I've got the... So, one second. I was watching something. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah. So we're talking about yeah. So just to mention a few of them, the more astronomers probe the sky, the more they find to be increasingly complex and complicated. There's some of these scientists, some of these astronomers have actually accepted Islam by studying the Buruj, by studying the constellations, the planets, and stuff like that. Even the commonly held conclusion that the universe began with a massive explosion, commonly called the Big Bang, came from observations of the movement of the star. All of this newly discovered knowledge contains additional strong evidence of the clear signs of God's existence. So clear, the Allah's answering back to the atheists here, that he's giving proof of his existence. Okay, the second verse, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَالْيَوْمِ الْمَعُودِ وَشَاهِدٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ. Okay, so وَيَوْمِ الْمَوْعُودِ وَشَاهِدٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ, by the promised day and by the witness and the witness. So Allah's making oath again now, by the promised day, okay, and by the witness and the witness and the witnessed. Ibn Kathir narrates from Abu Hatim that Abu Huraira quoted from the Prophet ﷺ that by the promised day, this refers to the day of judgment. Remember when we did Surah Al-Fatiha, when we did Tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. He mentions to us there already about that day, that promised day. Yeah, and here he mentions it again, and in many other surahs he mentions it again. Refers to the day of judgment, and by the witness refers to Friday. today. Today is a Friday, and the sun does not rise or set better than Friday. During it, there is an hour that no Muslim servant catches while asking Allah for some good, except that Allah will give it to him. He does not seek refuge from any evil in it, except that Allah will protect him. Okay, I'm not going to go through the footnotes because, like I said to you, there's very interesting stuff in the footnotes. It's going to come more. We will see in the footnotes, but it's going to take too long. We'll end up like 2, 3 maybe classes or whatever for this. And by the witness, it refers to the day of Arafah in Hajj. We all know that the day of Arafah will be the day that we will all assemble as well to meet our Lord. So it refers to the day of Arafah as well. Ibn al-Qayyim commented on the promised day, saying, Allah then swore on that day. Allah swore on that promised day because obviously that is the day, that is his day. Maliki Yawmiddin. He's the Malik. He's the one who it will be his day on that day. Yeah? Which is the day of resurrection. It is sworn by and sworn in the same way that the Quran can be sworn by or sworn on. It points to the occurrence of the day of resurrection, which is agreed upon by all messengers. And what is known by logic and reason to his worshippers regarding his wisdom and his power. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff in the footnotes. There's hadith and everything in the footnotes. And if I'm going to go through that, we're going to take too long. Okay, so I'll maybe if you have the book, you can go through it. Yeah, his wisdom and power, which rejects that they will be left aimless or created uselessly. The agnostics claim that there is a God. Yeah, he created us and just left us, uselessly. He doesn't kind of attend on us. There's nothing like, there is. We believe there is something out there, according to them. We believe there is something out there, but he just left us, kind of thing. Yeah. Not to mention other signs and proofs which Allah employs to indicate that its possibility and at other times to indicate its occurrence, and to elevate him above the false claims of his enemies who deny the resurrection. You remember we done I forgot what surah it was, where they denied the day of resurrection, and we done it a couple of days ago. I forgot which one it is, but they denied the day of resurrection, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually confirming that their false claims. Swearing by the day of resurrection to those who believe in Allah is like swearing by the stars of the sky and other created things. Their belief gives them a certainty of faith that makes belief in the unseen, the ghaib, equal to in strength to their belief in what is seen. You remember I just mentioned to you about the Sahaba. Sami'na wa ta'ana. They hear it and then they obey. Yeah? They don't need to question why is the Prophet telling us about stars and the moon and everything. He's not an astronomer. No. They heard it and they obeyed. Yeah, and this is what differentiates us from them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions radiallahu anhum wa radu an. Why would he be pleased with them and they be pleased with him? Yeah. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned to us that خير الناس القرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. So the best of the generations are his generation, then that what follows and what follows. Yeah. So these people, they were given the message and they took it. They took it without questioning what's the stars, what is this, why is the Buruj. They knew it was coming from revelation, and they didn't. Of course, they would question the Prophet about it, but they didn't deny it. It was only the kuffar who denied the day of resurrection. Okay, this is the level of faith known as ihsan, wherein the most perfect of the believers worship Allah as if they see Him, and those below them worship Him as if He sees them. Ibn al-Qayyim commented on the witness and witnessed, saying, Allah made a general oath by the witness and the witnessed, without specifying anyone or anything. Its most general meaning is that they refer to the censor and the sensed, the knower and the known, the seer and the seen. These are the most suitable meanings for them. As for the other opinions in which they are specified, they are only examples for which there is no basis to specify them, to the exclusion of others. I'd like to remind you that you're watching, all people of the book. You're watching the Tafsir of Juz Amma, and today we're doing Surah Al-Buruj, and I decided to read the book, read the commentary written by my teacher, Dr. Bilal Phillips, and as you can see, it's packed with a lot of stuff in there, and maybe it'll take me 2 lessons or 3, I don't know. Our teacher decided to have a cup of tea and sit it out this time, so inshallah I'll manage, inshallah.
I can add if you would like, but the commentary of Dr. Bilal Phillips is so beautiful and so comprehensive that I don't want to interrupt. So it's mashallah, it's really
Yeah, no problem. But you're free to say if there's anything that you have learned that is not in the book. So, obviously, we're happy to hear it from you. Anyway, like I said, the footnotes go in depth, and then it says, for example, Allah's speech is witnessed, as the Almighty says, establish prayer from midday until darkness of the night, and recite the Quran in the early dawn. Indeed, the recitation of the Quran is in the early dawn is witnessed. Okay, so what Allah mentioned there in witness, this is what is talking about, is witnessed by the angels of the night and the angels of the day. The witnessed, i.e. the Quran, is among the greatest of his signs, and likewise the witness. Also the record book of the righteous, in Illiyin. You remember we did Illiyin in one of the. If you can remind me, Doctor.
It's Surah Mutaffifin in Surah.
Yes, Surah Mutaffifin, exactly. Sometimes my mind just goes blank when I'm concentrating on something. My mind just goes blank. But in Surah Mutaffifin, we talked about the Illiyin, which is witnessed by close by the angels. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, yes, indeed, the record of the pious is in Illiyin, and what will inform you of what the Illiyin is, Mutaffifin here. Yeah. It is an inscribed register witnessed by the cherubim. Okay, so Surah Mutaffifin, which we've done already, and verses 18 to 21. Thus, the record is witnessed, and the close angels are witnesses. Also, on the day of resurrection, also the day of resurrection is witnessed is witnessed, as the Almighty says, that day in which mankind will be gathered, and that day to be witnessed. Allah will witness it, so his angels, the humans, the jinn, and the wild animals from among his signs, and the witnessed are also among his signs. Therefore, everything referred to as witness and witnessed is included in this oath. Okay, so there is no basis for limiting it to some particular type of things or other examples. You see how in depth it's going now. We're only on the third verse now, so it is. I really love these classes. When you used to sit in these classes, you really used to love that because you learn so much from him. There are common factors linking these three that have been sworn by. Praise be to Allah. Swearing by these includes everything in the existence of the world and the next. And each individual matter points to Allah's dominion and divinity. The first he first saw by the uppermost world, the sky and the constellations, the Buruj, yeah, in it, and which is the greatest and most vast location. Then he swore by the greatest and most glorious of the day, in order to highlight his dominion, his command, and his reward and his punishment. Now, remember, there's one thing here now. Can we have a man do this type of thing? You know, swear by the greatest. No, so the Christians now who are saying that Jesus is God, can he do this? Can he create a dominion? Can he create the stars, the moons, the sky, the whole thing? We don't know. We don't know where to end. Because when they turn around and say to us, every day I'm getting Christians telling me, accept Jesus, you will be saved, or whatever. And I think, subhanAllah, you know, if only that they've read the Quran. And most of them refuse to read the Quran because they know that they will find the truth in there. Okay? And it is the day which gathers his allies, his enemies, and judgment. Between them will be according to his knowledge and his justice. Then he swore by something more general than all that, the witness and the witnessed, and linked the oath to the story of the people of the trench who tortured Allah's allies. They were witnesses to what they did to the believers, and they were witnessed by Allah's angels and the prophets, and even their limbs will bear witness against them. You know that on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, our mouths will be sealed, and our limbs will be witnesses. He took me there. He done this. He stole this, or whatever. Our hands will be talking. Our feet will be witnessing. The one who varied the creation into witness and witnessed, and he is the most able, also varied it into visible and invisible. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, so I swear by what you see and what you do not see. Okay, this is Surah Al-Haqqa and verses 38 and 9. Similarly, he varied the world into earth, sky, night, day, male, female. This variation and differentiation is his sign. May he be glorified. In the same way that he differentiated his creation into creatures and opposites, he varied them into witnesses that they witnessed. And what they witnessed. There is also another secret in inference in divine variation, pointing to the ultimate witness, Allah. Without witnesses being present and giving witness to some creatures, the system of the world would be deficient. If that is so, how could creatures be witnesses, watchers, and guardians for others? And the Creator, blessed and transcendent, not be a witness of his slaves, aware of them and watching over them. You see, so the aqidah that is in there now, if this doesn't strengthen your aqidah, what will? You know. So the writer Dr. Bilali, he's kind of like, you know, talking of the greatness of Allah, Allah's sifat and everything, and because of this oath now, only because of this oath, Allah's oath by the witness and the witness and the witnessed also includes an oath by his angels, prophets, messengers, as they are witnesses against his slaves. It is the case of an oath with something, an oath about the same thing, like the oath of the promised day, which is also an oath about that day. Again, like I said, I will not go through the, although it explains a lot of the stuff in the footnotes, it'll take us too long to go through there. Anyway, we got next verse. Next verse is قتل أصحاب الأخدود النار ذات الوقود إذ هم عليها قود وهم على ما يفعلون بالمؤمنين الشهود. Okay, so these are the next 3 verses. Cursed are those who dug the trench of fire abundantly, supplied with fuel when they sat by it and witnessed what they did to the believers. Now, remember one thing: who else was thrown in a fire? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Yeah, very interesting point here. So there seemed to be some correlation with it, and but this obviously this is different. The people in the fire were not saved, and So anyway, Ibn Kathir commented on the meaning of qutila. Qutila, killed, saying the people of the ditch are killed, means the people of the ditch the people of the ditch were cursed, not the people thrown into the ditch. Now he's talking about the people of the ditch, those who dug the ditch. They are cursed. When he went on to say, this verse contains information about the disbelieving community who sought to force among them who believed in Allah to give up their religion. When the believers refused to renounce their religion, the disbelievers dug a trench, lit a fire in it, and gathered fuel to keep it ablaze. Then they tried to scare the believers into apostating from their religion, but they refused. So they were thrown into the fire. Who does this remind you of? Philistine. Yeah, Philistine. These people are getting bombs thrown on their heads every day, and they're still turning around, and they're still turning to Allah, and this shows you that when you turn to Allah alone. And I was thinking about something last time. I was reading something, and I was thinking about something. I'm just sidetracked from there. The reason why Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is making the Arabs not help the Philistines. If they had help from the Arabs, then they wouldn't be turning to Allah, would they? They'd be turning to the Arabs. Anything they need, they'd be turning to Arabs. There's a famous song in from the Philistines which says "Wain al Arabi Wain." Where are the Arabs? Wain al Arabi. And I usually answer them on Facebook when they play that song that you won't get help from the Arabs, because if Allah sent the Arabs to help you, you wouldn't be turning to Allah. Whereas now what is happening, every little thing that is happening to them, they're turning to Allah every time. They need Allah alone. Allah is their protector. Same thing here now. They try to scare the believers into apostating from their religion, but they refused. So they threw them into the fire, and they witnessed what they did to the believers. Again, they witnessed, and these people are talking about what they did to the Philistines all the time. Yeah? The bombs that they're throwing on them, and they're talking about it all the time as if it's nothing happened. Meant that they were witnesses to what was done to these believers. Al-Sadi added, this scene represents the height of tyranny, arrogance, and mercilessness. The unbelievers combine disbelief in Allah and opposition to His sign with fighting those who accepted His sign and punishing them with heartbreaking punishment. Again, same thing that's happening in Palestine. They're being punished because of who they believe. And if they turn around and say, okay, fine, no problem, we'll reject our religion or whatever, I'm sure that they will not have been punished like this. But today we can see with our own eyes what is happening to them. And why? Because they're strong on their faith. And I actually saw a Jewish rabbi who mentioned that we will never be able to defeat the Muslims because of that resolve that they have, because of the resolve that they have, that all the time they're in prayer, they're in dhikr of Allah, they're all the time, like, Ramadan, fasting, waking up in the middle of the night, praying. And it shows you that the other religions, although Judaism has some laws, some this, that, and the other, it is not like Islam. So they themselves recognize that they will not be able to defeat Islam because of that nearness, that closeness that we have with Allah. They will not be able to beat Islam. The story behind this incident and its details were mentioned by the Prophet and conveyed to us by his companions. Shu'aib related that Allah's Messenger told them that there was a king in the early age that had a court magician. Now, before we go into that, I'd like to mention to you that this all happened in Yemen. Okay, in Yemen, There is this happened in Najran. At that time, Najran was in Yemen. Yemen and now Najran now is in Saudi Arabia, and yeah, Najran, there was a community of Christians who lived there. A community of Christians, the true Christians, not Christians of today. And today, the Catholics, the Protestants will tell you that these people were heretics. No, they were not heretics. They were the true monotheists, and this is why they got punished by this king. Yeah? So they were the true Christians. They even have in their books, they even have a book about it. They have a book. There's a letter that was written by a monk, and the monk tells the story of a priest. According to them, his name was Aretha. Aretha, I think it was, yeah. And we would call him Harith, I think. We would call him Harith, but they call him Aretha. And the story is detailed in there. In their what's the name as well? But they have not put that in their Bible, so they don't believe in it. But it's there in their books and everything. The maybe next session I can show you the letter that was written, and it's similar to what we have in the Quran. Anyway, that Prophet ﷺ told them that there was a king in an early age that had a court magician. The king is Dunnuwas. His name is Dunnuwas, and in Yemen at the time they used to call their king the Tubba. So he was Tubba Dunnuwas. His name was. When the magician grew old, he told the king, "I've grown old. Send a young boy to me so that I may teach him sorcery." Now, Allah forbade sorcery. Yet the king, he had sources in his. So you can see now what happens now. Allah forbade it, but they still followed it. And then they tell you that they are the promised ones, they are the chosen ones, or whatever. So the king sent a boy to him for training. Every day on his way to the magician, the boy would pass by a monk. One day he decided to sit with the monk and listen to what he had to say. After sitting with the monk, he became greatly impressed by his words. From then onward, it became his habit to sit with the monk on his way to the magician. However, whenever he arrived late, the magician would beat him. When the boy complained about the beatings to the monk, he told him, "When you feel afraid of the magician, say, my family delayed me. And when you feel afraid of your family, say, the magician delayed me." Now, Dr. Bilal explains this now. We're not allowed to tell lies in Islam, you know. We're not allowed to tell lies, but there are certain conditions, and he goes into it. I think maybe I will read that part of the footnotes in order to clarify that. We're not allowed to tell lies about the deen. We're not allowed to tell lies about anything. But in this particular case, the monk told him to tell lies. Okay, we'll see now. While he was in the routine, a huge beast blocked the people's way, and the boy said, "Today I will know whether the magician or the monk is superior." He picked up a stone and said, "Oh Allah, if the way of the monk is dearer to you than the way of the magician, kill this animal so that the people can pass." He threw the stone at it and killed it, and the people were able to pass. The boy then came to the monk and informed him, and the monk said, "Son, today you have surpassed me." That's why sometimes they say that the student sometimes surpasses the teacher. You have a lot of our classical scholars from the past who surpassed their teachers. Yeah, they had greater knowledge than their teachers. "I see that your affair has reached a stage where you will soon be put to trial." Yeah, so he will be put to trial, meaning he will get caught and he will go through enough trial. If you are put to trial, don't tell them about me. We mentioned that earlier on. The boy then began to treat the blind and the lepers. He began to cure people from all kinds of illnesses. One of the king's courtiers who had gone blind heard about him. He said to him, he said, so he came to him with many gifts and said, if you cure me, all of these things will be yours. He said, I do not cure for anything by myself. It is Allah who cures. And if you believe in Allah, I will pray to him that he cures you. Now, this is the thing now. Again, like, if we look at that, Christians said, "Oh, Jesus was curing people, so he is God." They don't realize that he was curing people only by the will of Allah. They will read you the verse, but they will omit the part that says by the will of Allah. Even the Quran, they will quote Quran to us and only mention part of the verse. Oh, your Quran says that Jesus created a bird and he blew on it or whatever. That's it. They won't mention the rest of it because they know that's their downfall. The courtier affirmed his faith in Allah, and Allah cured him. He came to the king and sat by his side as he used to before. The king asked him, "Who restored your sight?" He replied, "My Lord." The king said, "And do you have a Lord beside me?" Remember, there was a Pharaoh who used to say that he was God. The Tubba as well now claims that he is God. Okay, do you have a Lord beside me? He answered, "My Lord and your Lord is Allah." Okay, so this is going to rattle his cage now. This is going to rattle the cage of the king. The king seized him and had him tortured until he told him about the boy. The boy was brought to the king and said to him, "Oh boy, you have become so proficient in your magic that you cured the blind and the lepers, and you do such and such and such and such." He said, "I do not cure anyone. It is Allah who cures." Again, like Pharaoh, he said, "Ana rabbukumul ala." Yeah, he is the Lord. The king seized him and had him tortured until he told about the monk. The monk was brought and he told, "Renounce your religion," but he refused to do so. The king called for a saw to be brought and had it placed in the middle of his head and had him sawn in half. Then the courtier was brought and told, "Renounce your religion," but he refused. So the saw was placed in the middle of his head and he was sawn in half. Now in the Bible there is a prophet called Isaiah. Those who know the Bible will probably know Prophet Isaiah. There's a lot of prophecies of the Prophet ﷺ in the book of Isaiah. When he talks about an Arabian prophet and everything, he's not mentioned in the Quran, so maybe we'll not know about him. But he was killed with a saw which cut him in half as well. It's not in the Bible. They don't explain how he was killed, but in the other notes and everything, they explained it, that he was actually killed by being cut in half. So this is how the Jews used to kill the prophets. That was one of the ways, and they actually killed the courtier and the monk this way. Then the boy was brought and told to renounce his religion, but he refused to do so. The king handed him over to a group of courtiers and told him, "Take him to such and such mountain and climb to the top with him. When you reach to the top, he either gives up on his religion or you throw him off." Okay, so they took him to the top of the mountain and he said, "Oh Allah, save me from them by whatever means you like." The mountain then began to shake and they all fell off the mountain except the boy, who came walking back to the king, and the king asked him, "What happened to your companions?" He replied, "Allah saved me from them." You see the yaqeen here, the strength of his deen. And like I said to you, the Philistines, Allah has given them such a resolve, He again handed him over to some of the courtiers and said, take him on a boat in the middle of the sea. Then he must either repudiate his religion or you throw him up. You throw him off. So they took him and said, and he said, "Oh Allah, save me by whatever means you like." Now remember, there's one thing: when we ask something from Allah, sometimes Allah uses other means. So we cannot be disappointed that I asked Allah to do something and He didn't do it that way. No, the boy here is saying, by whatever means you like. You're the one who decides by your will, not by my will, but by your will. You can do anything. You can turn the boat upside down. You can have a hurricane. You can have a tsunami. Anything, but it is what you like. Okay, and this is the thing that we usually mention to the Christians as well. That Jesus says clearly, by your will and not my will. When he's talking to Allah, he says, by your will and not my will. The boat overturned and they drowned. And the boy came walking back to the king, who asked him, "What happened to your companions?" He replied, "Allah saved me from them." Then he told the king, "You will not be able to kill me
And
unless you do so. You do as I instruct you." Yes,
Brother
doctor.
Jawab, we are left with 10 minutes. I just want to let you know that we are, everybody, we are left with 10 minutes. So 10 more
Yes,
minutes.
it's a 50-minute mark. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so fine. So, as I said earlier on, this is so vast that we will have to continue next week with it. But anyway, I've got 10 minutes, so I can go on now. The king asked, "What was that?" He said, "You gather your people on open ground and hang them up and hang me on a tree." On the trunk of a tree, then take an arrow from my quiver, put it in the bow, and say, "In the name of Allah, the Lord of this boy," then shoot me. If you do that, you will be able to kill me. So the boy's giving him a solution now. You want to kill me? It's not your way. You want to be able to kill me your way, not the way you want, by taking me to the mountains and trying to drown me. No. Yeah? Take me, hang me on a tree, on the trunk of a tree. Take an arrow from my quiver, put it in the bow, and say, "In the name of Allah, the Lord of this boy." Then shoot me. So the king gathered the people in an open field and hung the boy from to the trunk of the tree. He took an arrow from the boy's quiver, placed it in the bow, and said, "In the name of Allah." So already he's talking about, he's mentioning the name of Allah, Bismillah, the Lord of the boy. He shot the arrow, which hit the boy in his temple. He laid his hand on the temple, on his temple, where the arrow had hit him, and died. The people said, "We believe in the Lord of this boy." You remember when Musa alayhi salam done the whatever when he competed and with the magicians, and he threw his asa, his stick, and the stick turned into snakes and everything, and whatever. The people accepted. The people accepted there, and then they went into sujood and they accepted. The same thing's happening now. Yeah, the we believe in the Lord of this boy. We believe in the Lord of this boy. The courtiers came to the king and said, "You know what you you know what you feared. By Allah, the thing that you were afraid of has just happened. The people have believed in Allah." Very interesting, this, because this is what they're trying to do with Philistine, with all these places, even in India, tearing down mosques and killing people. And yet you see Islam becoming the fastest growing religion, Islam becoming stronger and stronger. The king commanded that the ditches be dug along the roads. When the ditches had been dug, the ditches here, this is ukhdud, yeah, this is the ashab al-ukhdud, and the fires were lit in them. The people were told, anyone who does not repudiate his new religion will be thrown into the fire and told to jump into it. The people did just that, until a woman came with her child, and she wavered about jumping into the fire. The child told her, "Mother, be steadfast, for you are upon the truth." Now, Dr. Bilal is going to go into some lessons that we learn. I hope, hopefully, I will have the time to go through the lessons quickly about what we learn and benefit from this. Okay, Allah sends revivers in each era throughout human history and has chosen certain individuals and prepared them to revive his religion and spread it throughout various regions on this earth. Prophet Muhammad prophesies that at the beginning of every century, Allah would send someone to revive this religion. Now you know where the word Wahhabi comes from, yeah. Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Yeah. He was supposed to be the reformer that came in this century, and because they don't like what he did, and everybody was into bid'ah, so they started calling people who follow him as Wahhabis. Anyway, we'll go into that some other time. Abu Hurairah related that the Prophet said, "Indeed, at the beginning of every 100 years." Sorry, I'm going very fast on this because I want to be able to unpack as much as possible. Allah will send to the Muslim nation one who would revive its religion for it. He also prophesies that among the signs of the final hour would be the appearance of the Al-Mahdi, who would reestablish the religion of Islam throughout the earth. Okay, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri quoted the Prophet ﷺ as saying, "The Mahdi is from me, having a broad forehead, a pointed nose, and he will fill the earth with justice as it was filled with corruption and oppression. He will rule for 7 years." Sorry. Now, if anybody comes up and tells you that he's the Mahdi, if he doesn't have these qualities, plus the Prophet in another hadith as well mentioned that his mother will be called the same name as the Prophet's mother, and his father will be called the same name. So if somebody comes and tells you he's the Mahdi, check him first with the authentic hadith of the Prophet, because there's a lot of people out there who are claiming to be the Mahdi. Allah's Messenger further prophesies that after the Mahdi, the Prophet Jesus will return and revive Islamic law. The Christians turn to say that, Jesus will come and he will judge. By what will he judge? He will judge by the Sharia, by Islamic law. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu quotes Allah's Messenger sallallahu as saying, "And he, Jesus, will rule you by the book of the law of your Lord, the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam." So there's no kind of Jesus is God, he's going to come and rule, he's going to come and judge. No. Okay, in this story, Allah selected the boy to be the reason for his people found true faith. The divine message had become marginalized in that society and was only taught secretly by the monk. Through the boy's efforts and martyrdom, the true religion, Islam, became known to the people, and many of them accepted it. Okay, so that was number one. Lesson number one. I think I've got only 3 minutes to go, but I'll try and do lesson number two and maybe take on from there next week. The plans of the forces of evil are not greater than Allah's plan. وَمَكْرُ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرٌ مَاكِرِينَ. Clear. Okay, the evil king selected the boy to be his master magician, who would further strengthen the foundation of his kingdom. But Allah wanted him to be a righteous servant who would destroy the evil kingdom and guide the inhabitants to Islam. This principle is in conformity with Allah's statement. I just mentioned that they plot and Allah plots, and Allah is the best of plotters. I think after this was the last tubba that Yemen had. After this incident here, that's it. Khalas. There was no king after that because that was the last one. Because then the event of Abraha comes in. This is slightly tied to it. We'll talk about it some other time. But I've got a minute or so to go. This lesson is that Allah prepares people for the defense of His religion, who may even grow up in the homes of tyrants. Musa alayhi salam grew up in Prophet Musa is a classic example of this principle. Pharaoh was aware that an Israelite was destined to destroy his kingdom, so he had all newborn Israelite males slaughtered. Moses' mother was inspired by Allah to put her child in a basket in the Nile River, and Pharaoh and his wife found him, adopted him, and raised him in their new home. So I think I'll stop here because there's only not even a minute to go. But you can see how, like, we're kind of like, unpacking this, and I'm really enjoying it because it's bringing back memories of the time when we did this, and you see the amount of detail that is in there. How the Dr. Bilal goes into detail and everything. So the next time we will go in number 3, lesson number 3. Strong faith that does not necessarily take long time to develop. So this is what Dr. Bilal mentions. Anyway, so I hope that you have benefited from this, and whatever I said, I'm human. I made a mistake. May Allah forgive me. And whatever benefit you got from this comes from Allah. So I hope you have benefited from it. And next week I'll have to take from lesson number 3. Now, even in Ramadan, maybe the Dr. Farhat will be busy. Her timing is different. If I have to go through Ramadan 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever Ramadan to finish this, I will come and do it, inshallah, because it's very, very interesting. And to have this there in YouTube, for those who don't have access to it, it's a plus for everybody, because obviously, like, it's in a lot of details. So I hope you've benefited from it. I have to go a little fast because obviously, like, there's too much to unpack, and sometimes I'm stuttering and everything. And I hope that you benefited from it, and I did. I benefited from it, and I hope that, like, please make dua for me that I can strengthen my knowledge so that I can share more with you. Dr. Farhad, do you have any last words, maybe?
Jazakumullah khair. I was listening, and yes, it was really worth listening topic, and you, mashallah, have explained it in very well, because it's a book commentary, but when you have explained it, it's really, mashallah, very good, and I really learned a lot from, especially the lessons of the Ashab al-Ukhdud. They are very, mashallah. Dr. Bilal himself mentioned it in a very comprehensive way. So, mashallah, jazakumullah khair. And may
Yeah, I
Allah
think there's about 12 or 13 lessons in there.
yes,
It expands more. So inshallah, next lesson, inshallah, we'll be able to go through it. And like I said, if there's anything that I said that was wrong, please forgive me. And anything good you got from there is from Allah. So inshallah, we'll see you next week. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Subhana rabbikal izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
wa alaikum assalam wa
Okay.
rahmatullah.